Marcus had 17 cans of food in his apartment when the grid went down. He'd counted them the night before, felt genuinely prepared, even told his neighbor not to worry. By day 4, he was eating cold chickpeas with a plastic fork, rationing the last of a bag of crackers, and watching his 8-year-old daughter push food around a bowl because nothing on the shelf looked like anything she recognized as a meal. The cans were still there. The food was technically sufficient, but something had already broken. Quietly, completely, and it had nothing to do with calories. Before you stock another can, make sure you're not making the same mistake Marcus did. Watch this closely because what you're missing isn't obvious, but it matters more than you think. That story isn't rare. It's the default outcome for people who stockpile volume without thinking about function. Most emergency food advice treats a power outage like a math problem. Hit your calorie target, cover your macros, wait out the clock. But the human body under stress isn't solving a math problem. It's managing fear, making constant decisions, caring for other people, sleeping badly, and trying to stay mentally present through all of it. The food that keeps you capable of doing those things is almost never the food sitting at the top of every prepper's list. It's quieter than that, more specific, and almost entirely overlooked. These 9 items won't look impressive. A few of them will seem too simple. But at least one of them, and you'll reach it before this ends, is the kind of thing that makes you pause and think about every power outage you've ever had differently. Stay with this. Number 9. Canned pasta meals. Here's what most people get wrong. They confuse having pasta with having a pasta meal. Dry pasta sitting on an emergency shelf needs boiling water, sustained heat, and cooking time. Every one of those requirements costs fuel. And fuel, by week 2 of any serious outage, is the resource you can least afford to waste. Fully cooked canned pasta, already sauced, already soft, already a complete meal in a sealed container, costs you nothing except a can opener. Open it, eat it, done. It sounds almost too basic to mention. That's exactly why almost nobody has it when they need it. Number 8. Sugar cubes and solid glucose blocks. The brain consumes a disproportionate share of the body's glucose under stress. Decisions, fear management, physical exertion, all of it burns through reserves faster than normal daily life. What depletes first isn't obvious. It shows up as short tempers, slow thinking, poor judgment arriving at precisely the moments requiring the clearest head. Sugar cubes, solid, portioned, spill-proof, indefinitely shelf-stable, are a rationing tool disguised as a pantry item. 2 cubes dissolved in water during a physically demanding afternoon is not indulgence. It is maintenance. The form matters because loose sugar spills, clumps, and becomes useless in imperfect storage conditions. The cube doesn't. Number 7. Fermented foods. That need no refrigeration, miso paste in sealed pouches. Jared sauerkraut. Shelf-stable fermented pastes used across Asian and African cooking traditions for centuries. What a survival diet destroys silently and completely is gut function. Within days of eating simplified emergency rations, digestion slows, inflammation rises, and the immune barrier that everything else depends on begins to degrade. Nobody connects their worsening mood, their fatigue, their inability to think straight to their gut. But the research does. A spoonful of miso in warm water. A forkful of sauerkraut alongside a dry meal. These are not additions to your emergency food plan. They are load-bearing components of it. Number 6. Shelf-stable bottled smoothies, not refrigerated. The sealed long-life versions with a real shelf date. Here's the scenario most plans completely ignore. Appetite collapse. It happens to adults under sustained stress more reliably than most people expect. The hunger signal arrives, and the mind simply overrides it because nothing available feels worth the effort. Children are even more susceptible. Liquid nutrition bypasses that resistance entirely. No preparation, no chewing, no decision fatigue around eating. Vitamins, natural sugars, some protein, delivered in a format that asks almost nothing of the person consuming it. On a day when someone hasn't eaten properly in 36 hours, a shelf-stable smoothie bottle is not a snack. It's the thing that keeps them functional until appetite returns. Number 5. canned boiled peanuts. Most global prepping channels miss this entirely because they aren't speaking to the communities where this food has always been a staple. Canned boiled peanuts are already cooked, already soft, eaten cold from the can, high in both protein and fat, and genuinely satisfying as a standalone meal in a way that dry roasted peanuts simply aren't. The boiled version fills you. It lands differently. Across West Africa and parts of the American South, this has been reliable pantry food across generations of people who understood, long before prepping became a content category, what it meant to need food that was already done. Number 4. Shelf-stable dessert cups, pudding, jelly, custard. Single serve, sealed, no refrigeration required, ready to eat in 3 seconds. Preppers dismiss these almost universally. That dismissal is a psychological miscalculation with real consequences. Morale is not a soft variable. It is a functional resource that depletes under pressure and must be actively replenished. A dessert cup handed to a child on day 5 of an outage does something that no amount of nutritional planning can replicate. It signals normalcy. It says someone thought ahead and things are manageable. That signal stabilizes households in ways that are difficult to quantify and impossible to manufacture after the fact. A case of pudding cups costs less than a flashlight and does more quiet work than almost anything else on this list. Stay with me, because these last 3 is something you don't want to miss out. Number 3. Olives, jarred, canned, brined, any variety. Almost never appears on an emergency food list despite being one of the most complete, ready-to-eat foods available. Healthy fats for sustained energy. Natural sodium for electrolyte balance when hydration is inconsistent. Intense flavor that cuts through the gray monotony of survival eating in a way that genuinely resets the appetite. The salt-fat combination isn't coincidental. It's precisely what a body under physical and psychological stress craves at a biological level. Sodium regulates nerve conduction and fluid balance. Fat sustains energy between meals when snacking isn't an option. A jar of olives handles both simultaneously, requires nothing from you, and lasts years on a shelf. The reason it never makes these lists is probably that it seems too ordinary. That's the exact trap. Number 2. Jarred baby food. The instinct is immediate dismissal. Push past it. Jarred baby food is pre-cooked, pre-portioned, nutritionally balanced across fruits, vegetables, and proteins in combinations that adult emergency food almost never delivers, soft enough to require no chewing, and shelf-stable for years. In scenarios involving illness, dental pain, an injured jaw, care of an elderly family member, or in stress-suppressed digestive system, it becomes something no other item on this shelf can replace. The jar is small. The label looks wrong for the situation, but the contents are exactly right for the moments when the body needs nutrition delivered with zero friction and zero preparation. Stock a variety. You won't regret the shelf space. Number 1. Canned bread, fully baked. Already done. Sealed in a can with a shelf life measured in years. Eaten straight from the container with no heat, no preparation, nothing required of you except opening it. Almost no prepping channel mentions this, which means almost no household has it. And that specific absence, that one missing item, accounts for more quiet suffering during extended outages than any nutritional gap on this list. Because bread is not just food, it is the oldest signal in human domestic life that a meal is real, that someone cooked, that the day has shape. Across every culture that has ever experienced hardship, war, famine, displacement, disaster, bread has been the marker of normalcy. The thing people baked first when things got better. The thing they missed most when things got bad. Canned bread delivers that signal completely intact with zero infrastructure on day 6 of a power outage when everything else on the shelf has started to feel like punishment. One can, one moment. The entire emotional temperature of a household shifts. Marcus eventually got his power back on day 11. He said afterward that the worst part wasn't any single day. It was the accumulated weight of meals that never quite felt like meals. Of food that kept him alive but didn't keep him whole. That distinction, between food that sustains a body and food that sustains a person, is the only thing worth understanding here. If this changed how you see emergency food, don't wait, fix your shelf now. And subscribe, because the next mistake most people make is even harder to recover from.